What's up, YouTube? It's Kenny again. Good morning. I'm back on the road. Obviously, I'm back in the truck. I thought I'd make a little update video. Got some things that I want to talk about. If you're just finding the channel, hit that subscribe button. You guys leave a comment down below. Like the video. So, I had started to make another video. I went to another park on the Trinity River called Trinity Park, and filmed me driving on the red brick road on Cambui Boulevard. There's like, because this is the yellow brick road, and I was like, I'm going to show you the red brick road, and I filmed a whole driving thing where I drove down the red brick road. It was built by convicts, at least that's the story I was told. And then as soon as I pulled into the park, I got a phone call that my truck was ready. And so I needed to rush back over and check the truck out, make sure everything was fixed, so I could head back out and do all my grocery shopping and all that stuff. So while I was in, I don't know if I talked about this, but the last time I was in, a check engine light came on, and it was the canister purge valve. It's part of the emission system. It runs fine without it. But this time, I'm sorry, it's morning time. I've just woken up. But this time, not only was the engine light on, but had a couple other things going on. The belts were squealing when I would start moving for the day and stuff, which could indicate either the tensioner, or it could indicate that, so while they were changing the water pump, they changed the water pump and the fan clutch and all the stuff associated with that system, but they used the same pulley. And the guy said they had a really hard time fighting with that pulley. And so I'm worried that there might be some kind of damage to that pulley. And also it could have something to do with the fact that the air conditioner is not working. And obviously I had that whole system, at least in the engine bay. I had the compressor and the whole full complete kit put in it. And I tried to fill it up with Freon out of a can, and it didn't help it. But the compressor is kicking on. There's nothing wrong with the stuff that they put in, but initially I had wanted to also change all the lines and stuff too, and we didn't do that because I wanted to change all that stuff first. But the AC is not blowing cold. So engine light, AC not blowing cold, and the belt squeaking. And then before I came in, I noticed a coolant leak. And, they did the water pump. They did all kinds of heater hoses, coolant hoses. So it's possible that could be something just didn't get tightened down right, or something like that. Or it could also be another, because what you've got is, and I know this is more than most of you guys probably understand, but so there's a rear AC and heat, and the rear heat doesn't work. And so what happens is the front heater core, there's also a rear heater core. So there's lines that run all the way to the back to that rear heater core, as well as for the AC. And it could potentially be one of those hoses where it's leaking. The hoses switched to metal, and it was wet up in there somewhere up above, farther than I could see, and leaking down off of one of those coolant hoses, just running down it and dripping off of it. So it could also potentially be because that's clogged up in the back. And so bottom line is, I don't want to build the unit in the back until I'm sure that whatever, if anything, that needs to be done in that rear AC heat system is done. Because when I build that unit, it's going to obstruct that, and I'll have to pull that out in order for them to fuck with it. So I'm putting in for time off earlier than normal. I'm going to go in on April 7th. I've already talked to the mechanic. I'm going to bring it into him. And likely what's going to happen is, if they don't get it done fast enough, I'm only going to be in town 4 or 5 days. If they don't get it done fast enough, then I'm just going to leave it with them and have my friends go pick it up it's out in Denison where I stay with my friends out there when I'm in town, and the mechanic shop is only like 3 or 4 minutes from their house. So what I'll do is, if they're not done with it in time, because see, the last time I brought it to them, I rushed them. You know what I mean? I told them I got to be out of here by Saturday. And so what ended up happening was they worked late into the night, Friday and Saturday. I didn't get it back till like midnight on Saturday because they were still working on it. So whenever you rush mechanics and they're doing that much work and you're rushing them, there's bound to be something that goes wrong. And there was. I had to reconnect the fuel fill tube that they forgot to get back on there. No big deal. But I want them to look over their work. I want them to get that stuff all buttoned up so that the next time I come in, I can do a lot of building and really get, 95% done with the build. So obviously I have a GMC Yukon. It sits at my friend's house there in Denison. And so what I'll do is I'll drop it at the mechanic on, I guess it'll be April 8th. I'll drop it at the mechanic, leave it with them, not rush them, let them know that, take your time. I need this thing buttoned up this time, for real. And I'm going to write them a list of everything that needs to be addressed. Tell them to take their time. My friends will come get it when they're done, and I'm not going to be back to have a look at it for a couple months, And so we're going to deal with it like that. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, after this trip to the mechanic, I won't have to take it back to the mechanic again for quite some time. This time in is going to be a true test of this shop. I found the shop that I was getting work done for cheap, but this one's going to be the true test. If they're able to button these little problems up for the long haul. So that's where we're at. Guys, the van's operating fantastic. The build, I drained the battery down to about 90%. I wanted to get to 80, but you're not supposed to store those batteries at 100%, those lithium iron phosphate batteries. One thing I did discover is that my battery shutoff switch, there's something wrong with it. It doesn't work because I had a fault in the inverter, and I was like, why is there still power? Like, I shut it off and it still looks like it's got power. I ended up thinking it was the button, the little wired remote thing. So I pulled the whole inverter charger out and took the front of it off and unplugged the thing, and that didn't fix it. Took my little test light and it still had power. And so that's what led me to figure out that the switch was bad. So I'm going to have to replace that. And then I also need to get the DC to DC charger on a switch. That's what caused the fault, is that if the inverter is on and doing something, and then you start the van, when that DC to DC charger kicks in, sometimes it makes that inverter fault. I guess it's pushing a surge of electricity through there too fast when you start the van. So I need to, and I've been needing to, I've wanted to put it on a switch anyway, because there will be times when I don't need to charge the battery and there's no reason to tax the inverter. So I want to put it on a switch so I can turn the DC to DC charger on and off manually. Right now it feeds into the fuses, and I've got it working off of a 25 amp fuse that's already existing in there, so that when you turn the key and that fuse gets power to it, that's what tells the charger to start charging, to turn on. But I need to put a switch in the middle of that wire so that way I can control it manually. Other than that, the system functioned really well. That last video where I talked about it's like 85 outside and I've got the AC blowing on me or whatever, it was 95 outside. I didn't realize it was that hot. And then after I made the video, I looked and realized it was like 93 degrees or something. So, and And you know, obviously the install was temporary and imperfect, and you know, the curtains that I had up weren't doing a whole lot. They're doing some. I'm pretty confident that the EcoFlow Wave 2 is going to do well. I don't know if I said this in the last video. See, I made a video and I haven't put it up because I got called away and everything. But the EcoFlow Wave 2 did well. I got to test the heater. It was uncharacteristically hot for February, but one night it got cold and I woke up cold and I turned the heater on. And the heater does use a lot of electricity, guys. I turned it, I guess I woke up around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, cold, and I turned it to eco mode heat. And I woke up about 8 and ran it till about 9. So it ran for probably 7-8 hours, and it took the battery down to 50%. But again, just with the DC to DC charger, you know, I went and got coffee and ran a couple of errands and ran the truck, ran the van some, you know, and charged it all the way back up just with the DC to DC charger. That's without any solar. So the system's going to work. It'll definitely run that heater all night. I mean, no problem. And it'll definitely run the air conditioner all night. And once I get that all really sealed off from the back and sealed off with the curtain and those windows insulated, because right now those windows are completely uninsulated. When I get my little chamber built and all insulated out, that thing's going to work really well. So I'm happy with the purchase. Obviously I'm excited, and you know, I didn't want to have to bring it back into a mechanic shop, but I knew that was a possibility. And it's possible that depending on how much it costs me, it might set back my timeline just a little bit, but not by much, you know. And the bottom line is I can take off. I'll have money to quit my job when I'm planning to in October. Just the question is, how much will I have and how long will I be able to stay out before I have to go back to work? So, you know, we'll see what happens. If I need to set it back a little bit more so I can gain a little bit more money, then I'll do that. I'm hoping I don't have to. Anyway, I just wanted to update you guys. Let you know I'm back out on the road. I've already gotten my first partial paycheck. This week will be my first full paycheck. And like I said, I'm coming home earlier than normal. I'm only staying out about 6 weeks instead of 8, or 5 weeks instead of 8. So that, you know, I won't be able to put as much in the bank this time, but it is what it is. I got to get this van in the shop. I got stuff I need to do at home. My kid turns 21, and although I'm going to be back late, I'm going to be pretty close to her birthday. And after that, it's likely that I will stay out like 10 or 10 weeks or something instead of 8, because I want to get a big bunch of savings on that next trip out and really just eat canned food and, you know, live cheap as I can and put as much money as I can up to see how far I can get. Then, so after that, the next time I go out, I'll be coming up on vacation, and this is my 5-year mark, so I get 2 weeks of vacation. So that's going to give me a really good, you know, a really good 2 weeks of still getting a paycheck to go in and work on the van and button stuff up and do some decorating, maybe do some painting, maybe do the solar. Like, I expect that is not this next time that I come in, not the time after that I come in, but the time after that, I'm gonna be finishing it up. I'm gonna be finishing shit up. All right. No, worst case scenario, I don't get the solar done yet, but the solar panels is going to be like a 2-day job once everything else is done. Probably a 1-day job once everything else is done. So it's getting close, guys. And I know I keep saying that, and I'm super excited, but it's getting close, you know. And I got a real kind of felt like I got more of a taste of it with a little bit of a build in there this last time. And yeah, it felt good. There were a couple days there, one day in particular, where I was just kind of in the park with the double doors open, and I had the AC blowing on me, watching a movie, and it was nice. And yeah, it made me excited. And you know, like it keeps saying, I see the light at the end of the tunnel now. So there's no turning back. Like it's full bore from here on out, because I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like it's getting close, and I'm at the point where all I got to do is finish the little bit of the build and save the money, and that's it. I mean, I got another maybe $1,500 or $2,000 to spend, not including whatever goes into the mechanic, you know, because, you know, maybe $700-800 for the solar panels, and then another, you know, couple $100 for the build itself, and then another $700-800 for like stuff like stove and, you know, little odds and ends that I need for inside of the van for living in it. Here we go. Hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment below, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one.